So yesterday, what we were studying was the basic performance parameters of a BJT. Out of that, the first one was Anusri, which was the first one, basic performance parameter of a BJT.
Emitter injection efficiency.
Emitter injection efficiency, which was actually the effectiveness of emitter in injecting charge carriers to the base rather than from base to emitter. Base in emitter, we know that there are two reasons for the emitter current. One was the flow of holes from, if you are considering PNP transistor, the flow of holes from P to N side and electrons from N to P side. These were the two reasons for the emitter current. Out of this, the major constituent should be the current due to flow of holes from P to N. അതായിരുന്നു emitter injection efficiency. That is the effectiveness of emitter in injecting charge carriers to the base rather than from base to emitter. അതിലും കൂടുതലായിരിക്കണം. Base to emitterലേക്കാളും വളരെയധികം കൂടുതലായിരിക്കണം emitter to ബേസിലേക്കുള്ള injection. That was actually termed as emitter injection efficiency, which was represented by the letter gamma. And we have already learned the expression for that also. So moving on, the second factor was, what was that? Base transport factor. That is base transport factor. The second performance parameter is base transport factor, which is actually represented as alpha T. This is actually the representation of base transport factor. So what is that base transport factor? Actually, in between the emitter and collector, base is actually acting as a transportation medium, right? The carriers which are coming from emitter are injected the majority carriers. So emitter injects the carriers, it passes through the base and reaches the collector. So the base should be effective in such a way that almost all the carriers coming from the emitter should be transported towards the collector. But instead, there is some recombination in base. Emitter injected the majority carriers, they undergo some sort of recombination in the base, and then the remaining will go to the collector. Base transport factor actually means the effectiveness of the base in transporting the carriers emitted from the emitter towards the collector. That means effectiveness eppada kooduga base il nadakkunna recombination koranam. That is what is our ideal case. Almost all the charge carriers emitted from the emitter should reach the collector. But instead, some sort of recombination is happening in the base. But base transport factor actually means the effectiveness of the base. You can note that base transport factor of a BJT is the effectiveness of the base. Base transport factor of a BJT is the effectiveness of the base. Effectiveness of the base in transporting the charge carriers, injected from the emitter, transporting the charge carriers injected from the emitter to the collector through the base, to the collector through the base, to the collector through the base. During the transit, you shall note this point also. During the transit through the base, some of the charge carriers are lost during the transit. During the transit means passage. During the transit through the base, some of the charge carriers are lost. Some of the charge carriers are lost due to recombination. Some of the charge carriers are lost due to recombination. So a better base transport factor can be achieved by making less loss of charge, making less loss of charge carriers, making less loss of charge carriers at the base due to recombination. At the base due to recombination. So base transport factor alpha T can be represented as IPC by IPE. IPC divided by IPE. Output. What is our output? IPC. That is our collector current due to holes. Right. What is the input? IPE. By taking the ratio, you will understand how much of the input has reached the output. Output. Yeah. How much of the input has reached the output. So this IPC by this IPE can be written as IPE can be written as IPE നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ എഴുതാം അഞ്ജന IPE നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ എഴുതാം നമ്മൾ ആ കറന്റ് കമ്പോണന്റ്സ് വരച്ച സമയത്ത് ഓർക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ we have marked like this right this was our IPE. This was IPC. This was IRB, recombination current. So Anjana, how can we write IPE? IPE can be written as?
IPC plus IRB.
IPC plus IRB. By dividing throughout by? By dividing throughout by IPC, you will get it as 1 by 1 plus IRB by IPC. This will be your expression for alpha T, which is base transport factor. So emitter injection, don't confuse between these two terms. Emitter injection efficiency is actually the effectiveness of the emitter side in injecting the majority charge carriers to the base rather than from base to emitter. Whereas base transport factor is the effectiveness of the base in transporting the charge carriers from the emitter towards the collector. Base transport factor can be increased by reducing the recombination. Right? This expression wise, in order to increase alpha T, the denominator has to be reduced. Denominator reducing, this term has to get reduced, IRB. Right? So you can note that on the next line. Base transport, you give it as equation number 1. Give it as equation number 1. Based on equation 1, the transport factor can be maximized by, based on equation 1, the transport factor can be maximized by, minimizing IRB, IRB minimize ചെയ്യാനുള്ള methods പറയാവോ അഷ്ന what should we do in order to minimize IRB ഈ ബേസിലുള്ള റീകോമ്പിനേഷൻ കുറയ്ക്കണമെങ്കിൽ എന്തായിരിക്കും ഒരു സൊല്യൂഷൻ അഷ്ന ബേസിൽ എനിക്ക് റീകോമ്പിനേഷൻ കുറയ്ക്കണം ഇവിടെ ഇപ്പം നമ്മൾ PNP ആണ് കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ PNP ആണ് നമ്മൾ കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ ഇവിടെ യു ആർ ഹാവിംഗ് ഹോൾസ് റൈറ്റ് here you are having some electrons, this is N, here again you will be having holes. Doping will be higher in emitter side since that is the section which will emit carriers. Okay, if we need to reduce the recombination in the base, what should be the method? എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം നമ്മൾ ഇവിടുത്തെ റീകോമ്പിനേഷൻ കുറയ്ക്കണമെങ്കിൽ ബേസിലെ റീകോമ്പിനേഷൻ കുറയ്ക്കണമെങ്കിൽ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം ഒരു മെത്തേഡ് പറയാമോ
ഡിപ്ലീഷൻ ലെയറിന്റെ വിഡ്ത് കൂട്ടിയാലാണ്
അല്ല നമുക്ക് ഡയറക്ട്ലി പറയാം എവിടെ എന്താണ് അതിന്റെ റീകോമ്പിനേഷന്റെ കാരണം ആരുമായിട്ടാണ് റീകോമ്പൈൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഇവിടുന്ന് ട്രാൻസ്മിറ്റ് ആവുന്ന ഹോൾസ് ദേ ആർ റീകോമ്പൈനിങ് വിത്ത് വാട്ട്
ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് എൻ സൈഡിലെ ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ്
ആണല്ലോ എൻ സൈഡിലെ ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് കുറയ്ക്കാൻ നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം? എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഈ എൻ സൈഡിലെ ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് വന്നത്? എൻ ടൈപ്പിൽ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് വന്നത്? See, this is actually കേട്ടില്ല. അല്ല. See, ഇതിപ്പം സാധാരണ ഒരു സെമി കണ്ടക്ടർ, ഇതിലേക്ക് നിങ്ങൾ എൻ ടൈപ്പ് ആക്കിയത് എങ്ങനെയാ? എൻ ടൈപ്പ് ആക്കുമ്പോഴല്ലേ അതിലേക്ക് കുറച്ച് ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് വരുന്നത്. ഹൗ ഡു യു മേക്ക് എ സോ കോൾഡ് സെമി കണ്ടക്ടർ ആസ് എൻ എൻ ടൈപ്പ്? എൻ ടൈപ്പ് ആക്കുന്നത് എങ്ങനെയാ ഒരു സെമി കണ്ടക്ടറിനെ? ഒരു നോർമൽ സെമി കണ്ടക്ടറിനെ നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെ എൻ ടൈപ്പ് ആക്കുന്നത്? ആ പ്രോസസ്സിന് എന്താ പറയുന്നത്? ഡോപ്പിംഗ് ആണല്ലോ. സോ ഇവിടെ ഈ ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് വരാനുള്ള റീസൺ എന്താ? ഡോപ്പിംഗ് ആണ് അല്ലെ? അങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇത് എൻ ടൈപ്പ് ആയത്. എൻ ടൈപ്പ് ആയതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അവിടെ എക്സ്ട്രാ ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് വന്നത്. സോ these electrons are actually the reason for recombination, right? These electrons are actually recombining with the charge carriers emitted from the emitter. What is our aim? Our aim is to reduce the IRB. That is, our aim is to reduce the recombination. Recombination reduce ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ naturally we should reduce the number of electrons over here. In other words, we can say that by reducing the doping on the n side, see, actually I have drawn 3 electrons. It's not like that. We'll be having plenty of electrons there. So by reducing the doping on the n side, we can reduce the IRB. Correct alle? ഇവിടെ electrons in എണ്ണം കുറവാണെങ്കിൽ the number of recombinations will be less. So that is one method. Our aim is to get a maximized alpha T. For that, we need to reduce the IRB. IRB can be reduced by having less doping on the n side. At the same time, the width of the base region should also be less. These are the 2 points that you should remember. Alpha T കൂട്ടണമെങ്കിൽ, maximize ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ, you need to reduce IRB. For that, 2 methods are there. One is we should reduce, you will be having a minimum doping on the n side. At the same time, the width of the base n side, width എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, it should be less. These are the 2 points. You may please note that. IRB can be minimized by reducing. IRB can be minimized by reducing. IRB can be minimized by reducing the doping in the base region. By reducing the doping in the base region, IRB can be reduced by minimized by reducing doping in the base region and by reducing the width of the base region. And by reducing the width of the base region. So these are the 2 basic parameters of BJT. So next, we'll be moving on. There is actually one topic left in your 3rd module. That is actually a very big derivation of terminal currents. That I will do a separate video and give you. That will be better. നമുക്കൊരു ക്ലാസ്സിൽ തീരുന്ന derivation അല്ലാതെ it will take some 2-3 hours. Same കാര്യങ്ങൾ തന്നെ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, but it will take some time. So I will be creating a separate video for that and I will give you. So almost we have come to an end of a 3rd module and we'll be moving on to the 4th module. So please don't write now, I will tell. Have you heard of this term MOSFET? Have you heard of this term MOSFET? Adil കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ ഈ term MOSFET? ഇല്ല. So the one type of transistor that you have learned is BJT. BJT is actually the basic, but I have already mentioned you have a mobile phone with you. You'll be having a processor in that. That processor will be having plenty of transistors, plenty in the sense billions of transistors. But those transistors are not actually BJTs, the so-called BJTs. They are actually MOSFETs. MOSFETs means they have got some property like MOSFET property. They are highly integrable. We can integrate these MOSFETs into a very small space. അല്ലാതെ നമുക്ക് നമ്മൾ ഈ വരയ്ക്കുന്ന അത്രയും വലിപ്പമല്ല. ഞാനത് ഇന്നലെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. It's not as big as we draw on the board. Very nanometer sized components are all these things. Okay, so this MOSFET has got an advantage of being very integrable. So we can bring a large number of MOSFETs on a very tiny board. That is one advantage of this MOSFET. So the base factor of this MOSFET, that is what we are going to deal. That is the MOS. MOSFET we will be studying after discussing MOS, which is actually metal oxide semiconductor. Metal oxide semiconductor. We have actually learned metal semiconductor contacts. Metal semiconductor contacts നമ്മൾ നോക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, but we are not familiar with this metal oxide semiconductor. So there is actually an oxide layer coming in between the metal and semiconductor. That's the difference. You will be having an oxide layer between metal and semiconductor part. So this is what you are going to learn now, metal oxide semiconductor. You will be having a metal side, then an oxide layer in between the metal and semiconductor. So this oxide is actually a silicon dioxide, actually oxide layer, oxide. And this will be a semiconductor substrate, which we are going to take it as P-type. So you'll be having silicon dioxide here, a metal, it can be aluminum or whatever it be, metal oxide semiconductor. So this is how the structure looks like. And this voltage can be termed as VG, that is gate, G for gate, VG, gate voltage, and this is actually grounded. So this is the structure of metal oxide semiconductor, and we should know about the working. So how does this look? Actually, you have got two plates, right? One semiconductor plate and one metal plate, left and right. So you will be having carriers separated by an oxide layer. What do you call that phenomenon actually? You are having two plates separated by an oxide. Separated by an oxide. Roshni? we are having two plates separated by an oxide. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റോഷ്നി present അല്ലേ?
sir.
രണ്ട് plates having charge carriers separated by an oxide layer അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു dielectric. അതിനെ എന്താ നമ്മൾ പറയുക? Charge carrying plates separated by a dielectric. Ashna. Capacitor. So we are having two charge plates, and in between you are having a silicon dioxide. So you will call this as MOS. Actually, semiconductor. So you will call it as MOS capacitor. Capacitor എന്ന് വിളിക്കാൻ കാരണം we will be having two charged sides separated by a dielectric or an oxide layer. Okay, that's why we are calling it as a MOS capacitor. This is the structure of a MOS capacitor. So in this section also we will be dealing with some energy band diagrams. നമ്മൾ energy band diagrams വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് എല്ലാം almost metal contacts, metal semiconductor contacts, metal oxide semiconductor contacts, all these things will be explained in terms of energy band diagrams. So as you know, we will be drawing the energy band diagram of metal and semiconductor separated by the oxide layer. So initially I will be drawing the energy band diagram of ideal MOS capacitor. You may give heading as ideal MOS capacitor. It's a very important topic, ideal MOS capacitor. A MOS capacitor is said to be ideal. You can write that a MOS capacitor is said to be ideal if the first point is that if the work function of metal, work function, I think you are familiar with that term, the work function of metal, if the work function of metal and work function of semiconductor are equal. First point, a MOS capacitor is said to be an ideal one if the work function of metal, what is work function of metal? The energy required to transfer or move an electron from the Fermi level of the metal to the vacuum level. Fermi level and vacuum level energy difference, that is the amount of work to be done in order to bring or move an electron from the Fermi level of the metal to the vacuum level is actually called the work function of metal. Similarly, work function of semiconductor is the work or the energy difference between the vacuum level and the EFSC. Metal contacts in the case, I mean metal semiconductor contacts discuss. So the work function of metal and work function of semiconductor are equal. Then you can say, and the second point is that the oxide layer is a perfect insulator. The oxide layer is a perfect insulator oxide layer is a perfect insulator with no trapped charges, comma, defect states, no trapped charges, no defect states, and no interface states. That is, the oxide should be, this oxide layer has to be a perfect insulator. There should not be any trapped energy states or energy levels. The oxide state, it should be behaving as a perfect insulator. And if these two conditions are satisfied, we can say that that particular MOS capacitor is an ideal MOS capacitor. Okay, this is actually the condition. These are actually the conditions for ideal MOS capacitor. First one is the work function of metal and the work function of semiconductor should be equal. Second point is that the oxide layer which lies between the metal and semiconductor should be a perfect insulator with no trapped charges, interface states, and defect states. So I'm trying to draw the energy band diagram of ideal MOS capacitor. So you know that EFM will be the representation for metal side. It's represented as EFM. So I'll be drawing the vacuum level also. Vacuum level. Okay. What is this EFM actually? EFM, this is actually the Fermi level of metal, which means that you will be having filled states below the Fermi level. This Fermi level, you will be having plenty of filled states. This Fermi level actually metal case, this is actually energy. Energy of electrons are plotting the energy band diagram. You should remember the basic things. We are actually plotting the energy of electrons. That's a graph. That is actually what we mean by energy band diagram. So this EFM represents that is the maximum energy of an electron in that metal. A metal maximum energy of electron, electron occupy in the maximum energy level is EFM. That is below that EFM you'll be having electrons, right? EFM will be the maximum energy that any electron in that particular metal can possess. A metal electron possesses the maximum energy in EFM. Below that, you will be having plenty of filled states. That is actually what we mean by EFM. So this difference is actually what we termed as Q phi m, which was actually called the work function of metal. So next, you will be having an oxide layer, right? You will be having an oxide layer. For oxide layer, you can draw it like this. This you are giving it for continuous at okay. This will be your oxide layer. And after that, you will be having your semiconductor. So this will be a semiconductor. Note that for an ideal MOS capacitor, this should be same, right? Q phi m, Q phi SE has to be the same. Since we are dealing with P-type substrate, I hope you know how to draw the energy band diagram. So this will be your Q phi SC. So these two are equal for an ideal MOS capacitor. Now, what should be the position of valence and conduction bands? EFSC. Valence band is actually close to the Fermi level. Since we are dealing with P-type. We are dealing with P-type. This is an oxide layer, and this is your metal. So this is how we form the energy band diagram of metal oxide semiconductor. So your valence band has to be closer to the Fermi level, and you will take a particular distance and draw the EC. So this will be the energy band diagram for an ideal MOS capacitor. Of an ideal MOS capacitor. And you can mark this width as TOX, okay, thickness. This thickness of the oxide layer as TOX. TOX. So if we need to find the capacitance of this oxide layer, how will we do that? We need to know the capacitance of this oxide layer. In that case, you can write it as COX is equal to, what is the expression for capacitance? Expression for capacitance. Parallel plate capacitance case epsilon A by D. I hope you remember. C is equal to epsilon A by D. So you can write COX will be proportional to epsilon OX by TOX. Where COX is capacitance of oxide layer per unit area. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഇവിടെ എ ഇല്ലാത്തത്. യൂഷ്വൽ എക്സ്പ്രഷൻ ഫോർ കപ്പാസിറ്റൻസ് ഈസ് സി ഈസ് ഈക്വൽ ടു എപ്സിലോൺ എ ബൈ ഡി. സോ വി ഹാവ് ടേക്കൺ ആസ് എപ്സിലോൺ ഓക്സൈഡ് ലെയർ ഡിവൈഡ് ബൈ ഡിക്ക് പകരം ഡി ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി ദ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് ബിറ്റ്വീൻ ടു പ്ലേറ്റ്സ്. ഇവിടെ രണ്ട് പ്ലേറ്റ്സിന് തമ്മിലുള്ള ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് എന്താ? ഓക്സൈഡിന്റെ തിക്നെസ് ആണ് അല്ലേ? സോ എപ്സിലോൺ OX by TOX, where epsilon is, I think you know these terms അല്ലേ? Epsilon OX is actually the permittivity of oxide layer. I hope you can see this. Epsilon OX is the permittivity of oxide layer, TOX is the thickness of oxide layer, and COX is capacitance of the oxide layer per unit area. Usual expression is epsilon A by D, but per unit area we consider we will divide this term by A. So A will get cancelled and you will get it as epsilon by D. That's epsilon OX by TOX. So what will be the unit? Since we are dealing with COX is actually capacitance per unit area. What will be the unit? Capacitance in unit and the Anjana, what is the unit of capacitance? Anjana ille. Anjana, capacitance in unit and the Arila. Anusri, what is the unit of capacitance? Farad. The COX it's actually capacitance per unit area. So we unit farad per area means centimeter square. We are dealing with centimeter. Okay, centimeter is standard consider. Centimeter square. Farad per centimeter square. Don't forget that. Okay. Usual case it's actually epsilon A by D. This is actually something you learned in your primary classes. Epsilon A by D ആണ് parallel plate capacitance value. So similar to that, we will be considering COX, that is the capacitance per unit area of the oxide layer. It can be written as epsilon OX by TOX. Unit is farad per centimeter square. As next heading, you can give it as modes of operation. Modes of operation. Modes of operation. Modes of operation means actually we are going to apply the external bias. So this VG is mark. So we are going to apply VG. So we can apply that in several ways, right? Initially, actually, in this figure, we have marked VG as 0. So now we are going to apply some values for VG. So at first, I am going to take VG value as less than 0. VG, that is the gate voltage. The voltage I am applying here is less than 0. That's why I have connected this in the reverse manner. The negative less than 0 means negative. That's reverse battery connected. So this will be the first mode that we are going to discuss, and this mode is actually called the accumulation mode. Accumulation mode. Accumulation mode in which VG, that is applied voltage, is negative. VG is less than 0. So what happens when a negative voltage is provided over here? So you will be having electrons repelled by this negative terminal towards the interface. The metal oxide in the interface in the side, like you will be having the concentration of electrons over here. You will be having electrons over here, which will be having negative charge, right? The negative side of the terminal will repel the charge carriers, right? So you will be having negative charges closer to the interface of metal and oxide. In a similar manner, you will be having holes accumulated on the P side interface. P side semiconductor oxide interface, you will be having plenty of holes, because holes will be repelled by this positive potential and they will accumulate over the interface. In a similar manner, you will be having the negative electrons accumulating over the metal. So what happens? Electrons are provided by the negative terminal. So the electron flow will be in this manner. So here electrons are actually taken away. Electrons will be provided by the negative terminal. In that manner, electrons are provided and they will accumulate on the metal oxide interface. Similarly, holes will accumulate on the interface of semiconductor and oxide. So, in the side electron energy increase. So actually what we are drawing in energy band diagram is the electron energy. So it's clear that the energy, that the EFM level has got raised, right? It has got raised by how much? Etra energy is acquired. That energy is actually Q into VG, where VG is the applied potential. We apply the potential the raise out. Side EFM side raise out. See, that's what happening in the accumulation mode that we will draw in the next class. We will draw and discuss about that in the next class.